Hi, my name is Kina Michi, and today I'm going to talk about keyframe animations. Keyframe is a location on a timeline which marks the beginning or the end of a transition. In CSS, the keyframe rule specifies the animation code. The animation code is created by gradually changing from one set of CSS styles to another. To add keyframe animation to your web page, use the @keyframe rule. That's standard syntax. For Safari 4.0 through 8.0, use the @webkit-keyframes rule. The @keyframes rule is not supported in Internet Explorer 9 and earlier versions. Each keyframe must have its own name. For example, @keyframe movie logo and then your brackets. There are different commands you can add to your animation by referring to a class in a div. Animation duration. This controls how long you want your animation to run. Animation delay specifies a delay for the start of the animation. Animation direction specifies whether an animation should be played forwards, backwards, or in alternate cycles. Animation fill mode specifies the style for the element when the animation is not playing, before it starts, after it ends, or both. Animation iteration count specifies the number of times an animation should be played. Animation play state specifies whether the animation is running or paused. Animation timing function specifies the speed curve of the animation. And animation name specifies the name of the keyframe animation. So here I have an example of some animation. This is just an image that I downloaded, so a piece of free clip art that I downloaded off the internet. So here's my HTML for here. If you'll see, here I have my div, and I have given it a class, and my class I've given it is logo. And then my picture that I have, which is my smiley sun. And so if I go to my CSS, you'll see this is my class name, .logo. And down here, I have my keyframe animation commands. So the name of my keyframe is logo move, so that's put there. 5S, that's my speed. I told it how long it's going to take to go across a page, which is 5 seconds. And then I have it on an infinite loop. So it'll just keep playing as long as that web page is open. And then my animation direction is normal. So down here, I'll show you what my code looks like here, my CSS. So @keyframes, I'm telling it to move. I have the name of my keyframe is logo move. If you have more than one object on your page moving, each keyframe has to have a different name. But since I'm using the same object and it's just an example, I just named them all logo move. But on a page, if you have all of those open, you can't do that because you have to have each keyframe has to have its own specific name. And here I'm telling it from the position on the page, at 0 pixels, I want it to move from left 0 pixels to left 300 pixels. I don't write left or right, I just write left. And that tells it how far across the page you want it to go. And so if you want it to go farther or not as far, you just change these numbers right here. Or if you want it to start in the middle of the page and go, that's all set by right here. Okay, so let's go back up to my div. So right now I have it on infinite, and so he's just going to keep going across that page all day long if I let him. But I'm going to change this to 2. And we'll see what he does. So there's, he's still going across the page. He goes across once, goes across twice, and then he stops. So he won't continue to move. So if you want your animation to have a limited time that it's moving on your page, you can set how many times you want it to go across. But for my examples, I'm going to leave it at infinite. Now, animation direction, you can change the direction that he's going. Here I have him set where he's going, you know, across the page here. I'm going to put him in reverse. Reverse. And let's see what he does when we reverse him. So instead of going from left to right, now he's going from right to left. And that just shows you how you can change which directions he's going, what he's doing. If I change this to alternate, we'll see what he does. He goes from left to right, and then he'll go from right to left. And he'll just keep going back and forth across. You know, again, you can change it to how many times that you want him to go across. All right, so I'm going to show you another fun thing you can do with this. And just give me a second, I'm going to set it up. Okay, so now I've changed my little logo move and given him some different commands on where I want him to go. Before, remember, we had him going from left to right across the page, and then we had him go from right to left, and then we had him go back and forth. Well, now I've decided I want him to go in a square, so I have to give him some commands. And so I start off with right here, I have him start at 0%. That tells him the image where to start. So he's going to be at 0 pixels top and 0 pixels left. And then 25%, I'm going to tell him to move. He's going to stay at the top, so he's still at 0 pixels, but then he's going to move 100 pixels. And then at 50%, 75%, and then 100%. So that allows him to move in this box, and then he starts over. And of course, you can reverse him and all of that in this one too. But that's just a fun example of something you can do instead of just going back and forth. You can have him actually move around on the page. Okay, so now I have him going from top to bottom. And if you'll see, he goes down and then he just kind of jumps back to the beginning spot. So if you want your animation to not have that jump like it has right there, that's where you change your direction, and you would change it to alternate. And so if I refresh this, we'll see now instead of jumping back up to the top, he's just going to alternate direction and just slowly go back up. So he's just going to go up and down instead of having that jump that we had in there before. So that's just another example of what you can do with the animation process here. Okay, here's the last example I put together for you, and this is where you can have it spin. I have him, if you see here, I have him moving, rotating at 360 degrees. And right now I have him alternating, so he's going forward and then he alternates and he goes backwards. But if we change this back to, we change it back to normal, he'll just go one direction. He kind of slows down because that's how I have it coded, and then he'll rotate again. You can, of course, reverse him. If you just want him to go one direction, you can always have him reverse and have him go backwards. So here he'll go, maybe if I did it right, go backwards. There we go. So now he's just going to go backwards. And then, of course, when I had it at the beginning, I had him alternating whether he was going forwards or backwards. So there's a lot that you can do here. We can change, say we want him to go slower. We can change our time on it. And now he's really pokey as he rotates around. It's going to take him 10 full seconds to get around instead of just the 5 seconds we had it before. So you can just play with this and have him go as fast or as slow. Here's a little bit almost too fast. His little rays are kind of a blur. He's being pretty speedy there. So there's just a lot you can do this as you play with it. You can make it do a lot of different things and just have a lot of fun with it. A great resource that I used for this was W3 Schools. They have most of the code I got and terminology I got from them. They're a great resource to use. In their examples, they just used a colored box and had it change colors and move up and down. And I thought the sun was a little bit more fun, but there's a lot of different options to use this. So I hope that you enjoyed my presentation and you learned a little something fun that you could add to your website as you build them. And I will talk to you all later. Thank you.